Okay, in this video, I'm going to be going over basic mutation things for every class. I have a ton of leaderboard skins and have been doing M10s, M3s for a while now. Thought it would just be informational to get this out there and let everyone know the builds that I run and whatnot, and what I find to work the best. So for group composition, obviously you have your tank, you have your healer. As far as DPS go, having a spear DPS and then um, having a spear and a great axe is like an absolute must. Like you need at least one of those between your DPS, and then having a warhammer is an optional. Like, so if I were building the perfect group comp, I would have, you got your tank, you got your healer, you have a spear DPS with a um, either a great axe or a hatchet, and then you have a spear DPS with a warhammer and a great axe, or a warhammer and a spear. And so your third DPS would either be a fire staff user, with either a great axe or an ice gauntlet. And then if you don't have a fire staff user, I would say a rapier build. Like rapier great sword or something like that would be really good, or rapier hatchet or a rapier ice gauntlet. One of the three would be super good. So you basically have two DPS that are CC grouping, rend, weaken applying, and then you have one DPS that is just mainly focused on actually DPSing. Which, I mean, the other two DPS are still doing a lot of damage as they're applying those things. Like they should be hitting for, 10k plus with their attacks and everything. But their main goal is to be applying the rends, weakens, CC, things like that. And then honestly, having a third DPS as anything else works, but I think what works best is having it with like a fire staff, deep freeze build. Having more than one fire staff is really not the best because you can only be applying 5 stacks of burn to your target. So having one is good enough for groups. And then let's go over just general potions for dungeons. So as you can see, there's ward potions for mob types. So Angry Earth, Lost, Beast, Human, Corrupted, and Ancient are all the different ones. So those are going to be really good for whatever mob type you're doing. Every dungeon is different on the mobs. Some dungeons have 2 different types of mobs. So I would recommend going to a website called New World Buddy and looking up, I'll show you real quick. Okay, so this is New World Buddy. We'll come down here to game modes and say we want to run Glacial Tarn. So it'll tell us the mutation of the week is Void. It's going to have all of these, which are on the in-game thing, which tell you all the different damage types and what everything does, which if you're running an M3, you definitely need to read this so you know what's going on and what's hitting you, what to avoid. And then you can search over here by bosses, and we see that Sir Milush is human, Sir Loth is human, Snorik is ancient, and Ice Entity is ancient. So if we're looking at the dungeon, which I'm getting super confused at this layout. Anyway, halfway through Glacial Tarn is where it switches to, what is that? I don't know. Halfway through Glacial Tarn is where it switches from ancient to human. So over here is Snorik. Here's the entrance. You run through all these ones at the start. They're all going to be ancient mobs. And then we get through Snorik and run down that hallway. And this is where the fire buff is. So I recommend after you kill this guy here, pull those 3 ancient mobs in, kill them, and then you swap everything to human after this, and all of the mobs after that are going to be human. And so going through and figuring out what everything is really beneficial. It doesn't super matter on the mobs, but for bosses it super matters. You want to be in your right ward and in your right coding for what you're running. Let's go into codings. Codings give a 15% damage increase to the mob type, and wards give a 10% damage absorption. So running those is really beneficial. And then we go into codings. Unless you're like going for an M3 gold leaderboard run, I would recommend saving your tier 5 honing stones unless you're doing that. Other than that, I would run, where did they go? Where did they go? Oh, they're right here. I would run your tier 4 coatings because it's only a 1% damage difference, and so it's not that huge, and they're a lot cheaper to make or buy off the market. So having those is really good. And then if you do have Desert Sunrise, that is a really good option to run as well. All of these, you can run all of these together. So I can pop my food, I can pop my Hardy Mills, and I can pop my Desert Sunrise, my Honing Stones, everything, and they will all stack on top of each other. You can also run Gemstone Dust and Oak Balm Flesh as well. Just for like if you're on a mob pool where you're like running down the hallway where it's the mages, for example, in Glacial Tarn, you can pop a strong Gemstone Dust to help you not take as much damage from them, which is huge. And that so you can either do one Gemstone Dust or you could do the Oak Flesh Balm. Those two cancel each other out, so but those won't cancel out any of your other potions or things. So I never really actually use these, just don't get hit and dodge, you're good enough. But popping a Hardy Mill is huge. It just gives you some heal over time effects, and then wards, coatings, honing stones, and actual food is a must. Desert Sunrise is optional. I really recommend it, and it'll help a lot when you're running M3s, but it's not super necessary to run it. You can definitely do it without it. And then let's go over trophies. So trophies, having a basic trophy for every mob type is essential. And having 3 houses, even if it's just the lowest tier house, that's what I have right now. It's all low tier house. So having just the basic is super cheap and super easy to farm. I have one that's a major, but you have to go kill a boss and it drops a shard and it has a chance to drop it. So it's really time consuming, and honestly I just buy I'll save up and buy the tier 5 mats on the market if they're cheap. Paying anything over 10k is ridiculous. Don't pay over 10k, but if something's like 10,000, I'll buy it. But having these trophies is huge because you get a 12% increased damage to the mob types. If you have the tier 5, then you're getting a 15% increased damage, which pair that with your 15, so you're doing 30%, and then 7%, so you're at 37% damage increase. Whereas if you're not, then you're only at a 22% damage increase. So it's really beneficial to have 3 houses and be running 3 trophies. And then that's a 37% damage increase, plus you got your tank that's running leadership. You have your healer that's running Oblivion, that's another 30% damage increase. And then you have all the empowers that you're doing as your DPS, self-empowers. So with all that, you should always be hitting in power cap, and you should be doing enough damage. And then let's go over jewelry. So you'll notice that like each mutation has its own specific element for the week. If we go in here, we can see that the starstone is nature. We can see the depths is fire, and tarn is void. So for all classes besides the tank, who is running the stopwatch most likely, need to have every protection. So void, nature, fire. What are the other ones? Void, nature, fire. Frick, I'm blanking. Ice. Void, nature, fire, ice. There's a few more, but if you do get a protection amulet, those are really beneficial to have. A lot of the protection amulets can be farmed from open world drops. Merkguard has fire amulets. This amulet dropped from an invasion crate, so go do an invasion and you'll maybe get it. And then the ice amulet comes from the Imperium, the Glacial Tarn. So that one is the Heart of Ice, and so this one will be good for your frozen protection. And then fire protection, also if you don't do Merkguard, you can get it from the Imperium Forge. Let's see here. Imperium Forge, and it's going to be Empty Hearth. That's a really good flame protection one. And then invasions for void. Nature you can also get from dungeons. I believe you can craft it. It's Grove Lights. It is a split stat and it's strength and dex, so it's only going to be super good for, you know, tank, or I guess melee DPS. A tank could run this, but you really should be running stopwatch. And if you're a int user or focus user, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do have a couple points in the strength index and you have it at like 25. So this one's good enough to use till you get a focus or int amulet with nature protection on it. But having every protection is super duper good. Okay, let's go into basic armor. Actually, that's the last thing. Basic armor. So, enchanted ward plus your weapon perks that are necessary. So for example, for the Renbot build, you want Sundering Shockwave. For a spear, you want Fortifying Perforate. For a fire staff, like you could have Refreshing Pillar of Fire. You could have Empowering Meteor Shower, Fireball. But really, you should already be hitting Empower caps with it on your weapon already. For healer, like you could have, because you should already have Fortifying Sacred Ground on your staff, like you could have, I don't even really know what you would have on your armor. You just want to focus Enchanted Ward and Health and 4 stacks of Refreshing. Having 4 stacks of Refreshing, a lot of people are like, Refreshing's kind of a mid perk, but Refreshing does help, bro. It helps a lot. So having Enchanted Ward, Health are the 2 main perks, and then those couple weapon perks that you need to make those classes work as effective instead of Health, and then making sure you're at 4 Refreshing stacks, or as many Refreshing stacks as possible. And then having all your heart runes on your back bar or in your gear set really helps as well, because you never know what you're gonna need to swap to. So just having all of them here is beneficial. Like say for example, Eniad, you need Bile Bomb. Where is it? I got Bile Bomb in here somewhere. Where's my Bile Bomb at? Oh, there it is. Bile Bomb, you'll throw it on the bird as he is trying to heal Upgraded bio bomb works a lot better for that, but if you have 2 bio bombs thrown onto him, it does the same exact thing, and will insta pop or completely not phase him at all when he hits below, so you don't have to do the totem phase again. Which, once any ad comes out on Mutation, I'll show you a video of what that looks like and how you can completely skip the 3rd pillar phase with bio bomb. But having all the heart runes is beneficial, and then having all your coatings and stuff in your gear set is beneficial because you never know what you're gonna need to swap to. Other than that, that's like generally just a general information on mutations and what you need to be running M3s. I'll have some videos coming out where I'm going over specific mob pools, what to do for specific classes, where to position yourself and whatnot to run for score, run for time, speed runs, all that good stuff. So if you're looking for class specific builds, I'll have all my class specific builds out, and you should be able to sort by playlist and find the class build, and then I'll link in the runs in the playlist. So I'll have like a tank build video, and then I'll just have a tank playlist, and the tank build video will be at the top, and then all the runs that I do as a tank. Anyway, I hope this video helps, and I hope to see you guys around. Peace.